There are concerns that this year's Grand National could be overshadowed by protests. Animal rights activists say they want to prevent the race from being run at all. Sky Sports News reporter Peter Stevenson has more.
Security is tight as it's ever been in the 175 years of the Grand National. Police at Aintree say they won't tolerate disorder or violence. What they call a robust plan is in place to deal with protests planned by animal rights activists.
Obviously, we're working very closely with Merseyside Police. We've heard about the rumours of potential disruption.
That's the turn. There are one or two out of line, lining right up at lunge and in for Pack Token. Over on the far side is over the road. Several riders are peeling because they're really crowded on the inside and they can't get in. And Ballyhane is being turned by Declan Murphy. Several of them coming back now, and they're all told to turn, come back, and come in less tight on the inner. Asking him to come in very steadily. Big Sun is out of line. It's looking ragged at the moment. And still one or two on the course. The course is clear. Mr. Christian. Circle is back, and the slight problem area is just about 150 yards after the intended dispatch end. We're looking at the scene now from the first fence. As Keith Brown waits patiently, there's old Applejack. It's over the road. The rider's still milling patiently. John Parrott, the clerk of the course, with him.
Disrupting the Grand National is just the start, so says campaign group Animal Rising.
We need to challenge the way that we view non-human animals. We currently view them as commodities.
It just makes it so real when you see their names and the reasons why they died. And they didn't have to die.
70,000 people will witness the National in person and millions more will watch on television.
I believe that the reason why we're doing it is what's most important, and again it's to draw this attention to our broken relationship with animals and the natural world and how this needs to change.
We're trying to protect those horses by being there on the tracks.
Some of those horses have better odds to die than they do to win, and we don't think that's right.
To be a general lack of care across the entire police force.
He just poleaxed me, flattened me to the ground, hit me on this side, and that fractured my collarbone. There was no warning given at all by the police officer. They didn't care what my condition was.
I was grabbed from behind by a security guard who put their arm around my neck and choked me unconscious.
I was screaming in pain and telling them that my hands were glued together and to the jump, but one officer was just encouraging the others to keep on pulling.
I was sprayed by an officer in the eyes with pepper spray. The police officer cuffed me so tight that I couldn't feel my arms or my hands, and I told him that I felt like he was breaking my wrists, and he just told me to keep fucking walking. He called me a little prick and told me that it was my fault and I deserved this pain.
I was tackled by a police officer and another individual, and another police officer in front of the fence struck my hands.
One police officer was pulling me by my hair and shouting that I was a prick and that I needed to walk. I'd only just regained consciousness.
One of my teammates on the other side was being viciously attacked by a security dog. He desperately asked the security guard to remove the dog. He watched the dog viciously attack my friend and take a chunk out of his leg. All of this was done in front of the police.
I didn't resist at all, yet they decided to slam me repeatedly on the floor whilst holding my hands so I couldn't protect myself.
And I looked right and I saw a protester being taken in, carried by his legs and arms, handcuffed behind his back, being slammed down on the floor, picked up again, and they just kept slamming him 2 or 3 times down even though he's handcuffed.
Wasn't read my rights incidentally. I was cuffed. He grabbed the cuffs between my wrists and yanked me up by the cuffs.
One of the police officers was throwing handcuffs over the fence to his colleagues despite the fact that there were activists sitting directly below the other side of the fence. So I sustained a head injury and the person next to me sustained a hand injury.
Simply because I was laying on the ground, one of the police officers grabbed my arm and twisted behind my back. He was pulling up so hard that I was feeling excruciating pain in my shoulder. And I told him that he couldn't do that because I wasn't resisting arrest or anything, but he kept doing it.
I was pepper sprayed by a police officer and subsequently hit in the back of my head by a second police officer with a rubber baton.
I tried to explain several times that I was choking. Finally, the response was that as long as I could talk, then clearly I was okay.
The police officers were laughing at me and calling other police officers over and saying, "Oh my god, look at this, look at the state of this is hilarious." And although I couldn't see, I could hear clicking and it was like they were taking pictures of me.
The officer pulling my hair was obviously behind me and I couldn't read her badge number, so I asked her to identify herself multiple times, to which she just kept repeating, "You're a prick, you're a prick," screaming in my ear. The other officers carrying me similarly refused to identify her, so I have no way to follow this up. My family saw a press photo of me surrounded by more than 6 police officers shortly after I'd regained consciousness. You could clearly tell from the photo that I was in significant pain and discomfort, and my family didn't hear from me then for more than 24 hours whilst I was kept by the police.
The authorities are never going to stop us. As long as there's animal abuse, there's going to be people out there who aren't willing to tolerate it, who won't stand idly by while animals are tortured or murdered.